Thank you. Actually, let me just go back then and make sure that we've
Okay.
got everybody.
Yeah.
Cindy Butts,
Here.
Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWeingart,
Here.
Claudio Gualtieri could not be with us today. Commissioner Mosquera Bruno, Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay. We do. Cindy, Greg, and I. That's
Yep.
Yeah, we have our three stalwarts.
okay.
That's
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, first on our agenda is the resolution regarding the financing of Crescent Crossing Phase 1C, which is in Bridgeport, to be presented by Steve Norris.
Hello, I'm Steve Norris, so I'll be presenting Crescent Crossings Phase 1C. The board action is to approve a permanent only first mortgage loan of up to $6,800,000 from taxable bond proceeds, and also a construction to permanent second mortgage of up to $1 million from the Opportunity Fund to Crescent Crossing 1C LLC, which is an entity formed by a JHM group of companies in partnership with Park City Communities, which is the housing authority of the city of Bridgeport. The first mortgage loan may be evidenced by one note in a principal amount of up to $6,800,000 at interest rate of up to 6% with a permanent term of 40 years and amortized over 40 years. The second mortgage loan may be evidenced by one note in a principal amount of up to $1 million at an interest rate of 1% with a construction term of 24 months and a permanent term of 40 years. The loan shall A, accrue interest on outstanding principal at a rate not to exceed 1% per annum payable interest only during the 24-month construction period, and B, accrue at interest rate of 1% during the 40-year permanent term, which will be payable with 25% of adjusted cash flow after the deferred developer fee is paid off. To get into some details about the development itself, Crescent Crossings Phase 1C is a 2022 9% LIHTC project being developed in the east side neighborhood of Bridgeport, which is approximately about a half a mile north of Interstate 95. It will be a third phase of a new construction development that will total 85 units on 4 acres of land. The larger master plan site includes Phase 1A, 1B, and 1C. It includes 262 units, which is located on a total of 12.8 acres of land, which is formerly the site of Father Panic Village public housing. To give some details about the units themselves, Phase 1C includes 85 units, which is a 4-story building and has a surface parking lot for a total of 91 vehicles. The unit mix will be 11 studios, 31 one-bedroom, 42 bedroom, and 3 3-bedroom apartments.
Steve, sorry to interrupt. Is this the first phase of the Father Panic Village redo?
This will be the third phase, actually.
Third.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So 17 units will be targeted to households at or below 30% of area median income. For this lowest income band, they will serve formerly homeless persons with disabilities with the supportive service support of New Reach Inc. And it'll be funded through a reserve, which is not a development budget, and also Section 8 project-based vouchers. On top of the 30% AMI units, there's 34 units which will be targeted to households at or below 50% AMI, 11 units which will be targeted to households at or below 60% AMI, and a total of 23 units which will be market rate units. To get into the details about amenities, amenities do include a detached clubhouse containing community room, which has a kitchen and fitness room. This was funded and built in the prior phase. In terms of Phase 1C's amenities, they include an interior courtyard and play area. Also, Phase 1C will be built to passive housing and LEED Platinum building standards. Some additional items the development has are high performance insulation, doors, windows, mechanical systems, LED lighting, solar panels, and Energy Star appliances. To get some details about the development team themselves, Crescent Crossings 1C LLC is the owner of the development, and Connecticut Community Renewal Associates LLC is the developer of the project. They're both affiliates of JHM Group of Companies. That is a company that our lead contact's Todd McClutchy, so we have a lot of experience with them in previous developments. JHM has experience developing, finance, and building affordable multifamily housing throughout Connecticut and also other states, which includes 7 LIHTC projects that were completed in Connecticut to date. Those projects include the Windward Apartments, Willow Creek Phase 1, 2, and Phase 3, Crescent Crossings Phase 1A and 1B, and the Heights of Darien. There's also a co-sponsor, which is Baldwin Holdings Inc., which is an instrumentality of Park City Communities, which, as a reminder, is also it is the housing authority of the city of Bridgeport. Baldwin Holdings Inc. has partnered with JHM Group of Companies on previous phases of Crescent Crossings, as well as Windward Apartments as well. In regards to general contractor, it is Viking Construction Inc., which we've had some experience with and some completed Chaffa-funded development projects, include Willow Creek Apartments Phase 1 and Willow Creek Apartments Phase 2. The project architect is Kroski Architects LLC, which is based in Hartford, and we've also had some experience with them as well. Some completed Chaffa-funded development projects include Willow Creek Apartments Rental Phase 1 and Willow Creek Apartments Phase 2. In regards to the property manager, that will be Richmond Property Service Inc. Richmond Property Services has been in business since the mid-1980s. It manages over 92 properties in 10 different states. Some Chaffa-funded development projects that are managed by Richmond Property Services include the previous phases of Crescent Crossing 1A and 1B. To briefly go into the appraisal, the Chaffa Commission appraisal provides perspective as complete value of the property at $9,500,000 as of May 4th, 2023. The loan to value ratio for the primary loan is 72%. The loan to total development cost is 17%.
Recording in progress.
To go into the financial structure, the total development cost is $40,145,000 or $460,000 per unit. Construction costs totaled $28,741,000 or $329,000 per unit, and $256 per square foot. And to get into the financing structure, it includes approximately $18,039,000 and 9% LIHTC equity, $7 million in DOH funding, $3,539,000 DCD Urban Act funding, $1,282,000 in developer equity, $500,000 in a Park City Communities loan, $500,000 in HTCC, $453,000 in energy rebates, and $1,032,000 in a deferred developer fee. Additionally, it has a Chaffa permanent taxable bond financing, the Opportunity Fund loan that we're requesting today. The total developer fee is $2,784,000, which also includes the deferred portion. And there's also an M&T Bank construction loan of up to $19,786,000. To go into the strengths, challenges, mitigating factors of Crescent Crossing 1C, in regards to strengths, the development will promote economic integration by creating mixed income housing with 23 market rate and 17 very low income units. The development team does have extensive experience, so we've worked with them extensively. The development will be the third of a multi-phase initiative. Development will be built to passive housing standards, providing low energy usage and cost. The proposed site is within walking distance, so a wide range of bus pickup and drop-off locations. And in regards to previous phases, there is a consistent wait list for those phases. In regards to the challenges, Chaff will be committing and holding funds for 2 years before closing. And delays, the second challenge would be delays or cost overruns during construction could have an impact on the budget. In regards to mitigating factors, Chaff anticipates collecting a non-refundable standby fee of 1% of the loan amount, a good faith deposit of 1% of the loan amount in the forward commitment. If the loan doesn't close, the good faith deposit will not be refunded. Chaff will also charge an extension fee for every month of delay closing after the 24-month construction term. The developer could also seek additional funding sources from future competitive rounds, such as HCCC, just as an example of one area they could request as it's not for profit. And then lastly, Chaff will require monthly construction status reports from the developer's architect to stay informed regarding any construction related issues. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the vacancy rate for rentals in Bridgeport? Do you know?
Yeah.
It's very, very low at this point. I would say occupancy is probably in the 96, 97% range. And as Steve said, this project and other projects that we have in Bridgeport are seeing long waiting lists for residents to get in.
I just feel like the rental market eventually in the state of Connecticut has to slow down. I just don't know when.
Yeah, well, the problem is there's a dramatic need for rental apartments right
Yeah.
now. So hopefully we'll see us meet those demands in the next couple of decades.
Yeah, well, certainly affordable rental, but just rental in general, I'm nervous about, but
It is, though. That's a good point. But see, in this, and that was going to be my question, because it's impressive numbers that we're going after here, right? And it's the waiting list areas. So if we have on this one, there's 30%, the 17 units at the 30% AMI, that's an incredible reach, right? I have to imagine that demand in those, the very low and low stratas are, we have to have a waiting list there, right?
oh, I'm
Yes,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very large demand in that segment, Greg.
it's the market rate ones, just in general, right?
Mhm.
But it doesn't seem that there's an issue with those either.
No.
Heidi, I would categorize those more as unrestricted more than market rate, because when you're putting unrestricted units in a restricted community, you're not going to achieve the full true market rate, but somewhere in between, the restricted units and the full market. So we haven't seen anybody having difficulty renting up unrestricted units in our projects.
Okay, thank you.
Are restricted units deed restricted, or are they targets?
No, they're deed restricted.
For how many years?
As long as our mortgage is in place, so 40 years.
40,
on this.
yeah.
Yeah, because I thought 40 seemed longer than, like, aren't many deed restrictions 30 years? And this brings that even longer, or no?
Yeah, so Cindy, on this one, Mr. McClutchy had planned to use HUD for the financing on this, but they couldn't close the gap. So we negotiated with them to provide the permanent financing so that they can access our opportunity funds to close the gap. And in order to do that, we had to meet HUD's terms that they were providing, and HUD was providing a 40-year term, 40-year AM product. So Hazim was able to match that product, and that's how we were able to close the gap and provide this funding. And
Why?
if I'm not
would-
mistaken, there should, since this is a 9%, there should also be an extended use agreement in place.
Meaning if someone is lucky to get a job promotion, they don't have to leave? Or what does
Yeah.
that mean?
No, once somebody moves above 140% AMI in a mixed income project like this where they have unrestricted units, they would move the next available unit. So if, let's say somebody's in a 2-bedroom and they move up above 140%, that unit, the next time a 2-bedroom is available, the next 2-bedroom would then become they'd have to replace that with somebody who meets the requirements for that income limit, and then the other one would become unrestricted. So, and if it's 100% LIHTC, once they move above 140, they cannot be removed from the project. So there's very little impact with these LIHTC projects for people who move above their targeted income.
Yeah, because we've certainly seen examples of people who turn down promotions, who have to refuse bonuses just because they don't want to lose their housing. And sometimes it can be institutionalizing poverty. So it's great that they have the option to move within the same building or to stay where they are and just have to have, so any unit in the project can be considered for that, not a particular unit. They don't
Right.
say 1, 2, and 3 are deed restricted and 4, 5, and 6 aren't. It can be any of them mixing around.
Right.
Okay. So do you need a motion?
We do need a motion. If there's any other questions, comments, all I can say is I think I did John McCletchy's first affordable housing project back in Stamford, the Glenbrook area, way back. And he likes to negotiate. And I'm sure he still does, and his son does.
As does his son, yes.
Yep.
So anyway, so any other questions? Okay, Cindy, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
And I'll
Thank you.
second it.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, Dawn, please do the roll.
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno, Lisa Tepper
Yes.
Bates. Oh, thank you. Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Gugaldi.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the resolution regarding the financing. No, I'm sorry, the resolution regarding the reservation of low-income housing tax credits for, I don't even know how to say this, Oxoboxo?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
Montvale, Connecticut, to be presented by Colette.
Hi, good afternoon.
afternoon.
This is a board action to approve a return in exchange of 2019 9% LIHTX for 2023 LIHTX in the like amount of approximately $1,425,000 for Oxoboxo Lofts. This is a development located in Montville. This will be for Ox Master Tenant LLC. This is an entity formed by Dakota Partners. And the 2023 allocation of 9% LIHTX will establish a placed in service date no later than the end of 2025. An exchange does not affect CHFA's 2023 tax credit ceiling, and there is no CHFA financing in this transaction. This is an adaptive reuse and historic conversion of an industrial building complex. There are 72 units, 57 are affordable, 15 are market rate units, and it includes a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, and there is 1 studio. 15 units are designated as supportive housing units for households experiencing homelessness. And 9 of the units will be supported with HUD Section 811 project-based vouchers through DOH. The total development cost is approximately $37.7 million. DOH state bond funds will be in the transaction of approximately $7 million, and approximately $1 million in DECD brownfields funds will help pay for the cleanup on the site. So this project has experienced significant delays. They are largely attributable to the delays in obtaining the necessary project environmental approvals. There's been rising costs and rising interest rates and COVID-19 delays that have also impacted the project. But given the lengthy history of issues and delays, a request for a return in exchange was delayed until we were certain that certain approvals have been received and various benchmarks have been met that assure that a closing is forthcoming and achievable. So closing calls have commenced and an initial closing is anticipated within the next 60 days. To list some of the approvals that we've received to date, those include the flood management certification and a subsequent amendment approved by DEEP. We have water quality certificate and permit. We have completed the public comment period for a DEEP stewardship permit. The remedial action plan has been accepted by DEEP. Site plan approval has been obtained. We have SHPO and National Park Service Part 1 and Part 2 approvals, inland wetland permit approval, and there's a credible financing plan in place. So we've evaluated those circumstances contributing to the delays and have determined that an exchange of credits is warranted, and I'd be happy to take questions.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts, obviously. I mean, what is the real issue here? Is it the environmental? Obviously, it's on the water, so there's, you know, a group of people, but what else could go wrong? I guess I'm worried.
Well, to be honest, we've followed down every rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So I think, kind of to reiterate, we really have, asked the development team to go through, because of the length of time that it's taken for them to get some of these approvals. We've asked that they have all of these approvals in place before we come back for the return and exchange. So, but I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It straddles a brook. It's a formal, it has a lot of environmental issues. I think it was just a much more complicated site than they initially anticipated.
Has any work been done? Because we all know that, renovations are harder than new builds. So what's behind the walls? Do they really know?
Well, so part of the story is that they have, they started construction and they did so on their own. It's not something that CHFA or DOH approved, and they were using their own money to do that. So they have a certain amount of construction done. They have approximately, I think, 11 months of construction that remain. So, and that has stopped on the property, and this has been stopped for quite some time. So they've already actually done some work on the site.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments?
So Colette, just is a practical matter, what would happen? Like, why is this case unusual compared to other delays? And why did we have to take this action here? We don't see it very often. It seems like we would see it more often because others have had delays. Why is this one the one in this case?
I would probably point to the flood management certification approval that took years. And so this application obviously came to CHFA a while back. I think going forward, we have certain expectations that they're further along with DEEP. And so the flood management certification process alone took a really long time. And then just the complications with the environmental site. I think, they've just had so many approvals that they've had to obtain. And I think they underestimated how complicated and the length of time it was going to take them to get through all of those approvals.
Yeah, Greg, just so you understand, this was an old factory that occupied both sides of the Boxel Brook, I think it was called. And then there was a connecting sort of corridor that went over the brook. And so at the beginning, this was in a flood zone. They actually had to remove a dam on a pond upstream in order to mitigate the floodplain impact. So there was a lot that had to do with the positioning of the project of the existing buildings that had to be attended to before they could get the approvals that were needed. And the biggest one, as Colette mentioned, was floodplain. So it's been a long time coming, and as much as they've pushed CHFA to get this return and exchange done as quickly as possible, we've held out as has DOH, until we got to this level where we're comfortable
Mhm.
that they're ready to close, that they've got all the environmental issues behind them. And now the next phase would be the construction phase, where we face our typical, our typical challenges, but the main portion of the environmental issue is behind us.
Can I ask why they needed a connector over the river?
It was already there.
Mhm.
But
This was part of the
why?
original factory.
Oh, okay, for the
From-
factory.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Colette, when was the original? Do you know when the original? factory was built?
Early 1800s.
Yeah.
okay. And
You're-
are they, I mean, this is just informational, has nothing to do with the vote. Are they
Mhm.
keeping that connector or did they close it
Yes.
off? They're
No, they're
keeping,
keeping it.
They're keeping it, but there's no units.
Right.
At one point, they had planned to put a couple units over the creek. That is not the
I
case
wondered.
anymore.
so
Yeah,
it,
that would,
it's
that would
just
take
a-
another 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's just to walk across to the
Yes.
other side? Okay,
I feel like I want to need to see this one when it's done.
oh, yeah.
It'll be incredible. I would encourage you to come.
Sounds
I'll
cool,
be
yeah.
excited when it's,
I like want to drive there and look at it, right?
it is a
Our
very
next
interesting
board
site.
retreat will be at Oxapox.
There you
We'll,
go.
we'll invite everyone for a ribbon cutting.
Okay.
But,
It's-
to the
Sounds fun.
committee, this was one of the projects when I first came in that we talked, and it was a combination actually of staff and capacity and the people that were doing the work. So we did talk to the developer, and they brought in the right staff because they were not following the deep instructions for flood mitigation. So they had to start kind of over. But I think that the developer did follow our suggestions and hiring the right professionals, but it took time to go through all the certifications, especially because they had started construction and they needed to go back and look at some of the stuff that they have done and redo it. So
Do we think they're capable of completing the construction part?
Yeah, we put them through the task. We did not want to come to the board without making sure that this project was moving forward. So they did all the work that they needed to do with DEEP. They followed instructions. They did some of the other processes that they had to do in order for us to come today, because we just wanted to come one time. So I'm comfortable that they're gonna, I wouldn't have said that 2 months ago. I was one of the ones holding this.
Okay,
Right, and
Um,
we have other experience with this developer, successful, they've done some other successful projects with us.
okay. Thank you.
I'll
Any
make
other questions, comments, Greg?
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Thank you.
And I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Dawn?
Cindy Butts,
Yes,
Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. The only other item I have on the agenda, I believe, is approval of the minutes from the Mortgage Committee meeting, which was held on April 25th, 2023. They looked good to me. Anybody have any comments or concerns?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
and I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Okay, short and sweet. I guess we'll see everybody hopefully on Thursday.
See you Thursday. Thank you,
see you
everybody.
then.
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Aye.
Yeah.